the 10-minute loop. Let me make sure my teeth are clean at least.
No. It's for my TV show, man. It's such low quality, you can't even see.
The sunlight's not there though. It's all right, but for me taking photographs, it doesn't work. At least you got motion to keep people entertained. If it's a dull photograph, man, that's boring.
Look at this. It's like a food photo.
Okay, yeah, here we go. Why don't we start here? All right, how about I'll do a quick... oh, this is recording. All right, so hey, my name is Dave Sansone, and I'm going to talk about my forest garden, a food forest, where I garden like nature. I'm cultivating hundreds of species of plants here. I've tried all kinds of stuff, and yeah, bananas, papayas, mulberries, sugarcane. The Hawaiian crops do the best. Polynesian crops, second best. And the native plants too. I'm also working on doing this restoration agroforestry system where this is the native Hawaiian sumac, which I forget the Hawaiian name of right now, where I'm letting the nature work as it does, where things will sprout from seed, grow up and die, and they all fill different niches. So here I've got some weedy raspberries that the birds, they come in and they land on my intercrop hedgerow. This is like habitat for them to come and hide out from the hawks. And they poop these seeds out, and then, for some people they don't like these things because they're very thorny and they hurt.
Berries. I like the berries, man. Thimbleberries.
Well, yeah, they like the berries, but the plants really hurt. And so what I found is in my intercrop hedgerow, where I have all my trees and shrubs, woody plants, planted in a line where they're about a foot apart, sometimes 3 feet apart.
Is that like the tea plants back there?
Yeah, the tea plants.
You consider those woody?
Mulberry? Yeah, any woody plants. Even bananas on extra wide spacing, I would do 20 foot. They're contained, and I have paths on the other sides, and I lay wood down so I can step in there without stepping in it. It's a no-step garden, no till. And now I've got all these raspberries, which I'm fertilizing with Korean natural farming inputs.
Yeah.
But this is an experimental garden. This is not a demonstration site. This is just seeing what happens. And here's one thing I found is I let this stuff grow and grow and grow, and then I'll cut it down and use it as mulch. And I feel like I'm doing good if my mulch has berries on it, It's really nice. I get way more fruit than I would. I have pineapples all planted in here. But rather than keeping them weeded really well, I just have overwhelmed them. Probably get some production, but not much of the pineapple, I bet. Alright, here's mulberry.
I think we're gonna... Oh, nice. Yeah. Bring that down a little bit. Right there. Yep. Alright, man. So let's just go cruise and grab talk and then walk through the garden.
Okay.
So you can be like, and then this is the...
Yeah, look close. This is a good part of the garden right here. Okay, well actually I want to look down, so I'll look this up. So part of the deal here is letting the nature do its thing, but there's all types of weeds that come in, so I'll try to get the weeds out however I have to, mechanically, by hand or mulching it, using all natural methods, but I'm also trying to get things to be weeds. So I got some coffee seed, wild coffee seed, a while back, and made sure it was free of that coffee borer, and the bean borer, that's what it's called. And so I chucked all the seeds out here, and so I've got these coffee seedlings popping up all over the place. And there's also ferns coming up, and I'll just cut them back occasionally. A few weeds, but it's kind of fun because now I'm growing things very simply, and they're just coming up in the shade, growing up through these plants. Here's culantro. It's a perennial spice. What does it smell like? What does it smell like?
Cilantro?
Cilantro. No, it's culantro. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And so I just spread the seeds. I throw the seeds all over the place, and it's popping up around the trail side here. So it's working with the way nature works with edible plants. So that's called self-seeding. Here's another self-seeding perennial. Here's an example of too many in one spot. This is called by many names, but Japanese forest parsley. I don't recall the name offhand,
You should
botanical name.
ferment that. Parsleys are super good for ferment.
Okay, ferment it. So I've pulled some pretty big callo out of here, and after it was callo, I had a really large crotalaria. It's a nitrogen-fixing shrub, pioneer kind of shrub, and I cut it back, and the callo grew really big, and I harvested that. I harvested some cassava, and then growing right near it, about 1.5 feet away, there's all these things. So after I harvest, now I've got this food forest. So it's a succession-based production system. So instead of having the barren time where you harvest and there's nothing, and then you have to weed and you have to put all these inputs in, I'm just using, filling different spots in time and space, and then I'm gone. I don't have to do much work. If I accept a little bit less yield, I'm not going to get as much taro right away, or I won't get as much cassava. But over time, I'll actually have more production with less work. And the trick is trying to figure out how to make it work. Oh yeah, here's mamaki.
Make it tea.
Yeah, a native Hawaiian plant. Supports the endangered, or almost endangered, Kamehameha butterfly. Sugarcane. Yeah, the purple. Ice cream bean, it's a questionable weedy tree. It does spread slowly underneath it. But if you're going to raise pigs, it's pretty much every animal loves it. It's a keystone species where it's from. A lot of these, some of these invasive species are actually keystone species that support life for other species, support other ones.
What do the pigs eat on
The I'm not sure which part. I know every animal loves it though. One part or the other. Probably the pods. The sheep like the pods. Yeah, that's a lab perennial bean. I recommend growing that after. Yeah, take it. If you're gonna grow it, you got to really stake off your trees very well, and if you're gonna, you want to have somewhat strong trees. You can't really just do seeds and plant lab because it's just going to get overrun. Same with the squash.
What about running up sugar cane?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, running up sugar cane, some kind of established plant structure.
I like that your perennial peanut is coming in a lot better out here. It's really taking off out here.
Yeah, there's perennial peanut. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And some grasses. A good grass to grow this with is the carpet grass. It's got a wide blade.
I just planted, fifty trees with perennial peanut would be a nice one to run underneath, especially under the cassava that go around the ways.
So this is the intercrop hedgerow. Maybe I should back up a little bit. Yeah, there's Drake and Aloha. Alright. So yeah, what we got here is we got all types of stuff. Bananas, or sugar cane. We got a papaya right here. And there's a banana right next to it coming along. Now inside there we got bajul. It's Erythrina edulis. It's nitrogen fixing tree. It's kind of like a bean tree, so it's got these pods that are like beans. So it's nice. It's a woody crop, so it just produces year after year without having to do much maintenance.
It's like a raspberry thing,
There's a mountain naupaka. That one was very similar to the beach naupaka. Different flower though. Interesting. And then yeah, more sugar cane. And here's a rattle pod. Just a weed, but for me it's. Oop, we got more beans in there.
Is this amaranth?
Yeah, so yeah, there's amaranth. So this is the spot that I planted out about. I planted this out in August. And where are we right now? We're in February. And I haven't done anything. Yeah. Except for harvest. I took a big taro out of there. So how many months is that? August, that's 4, that's 6 months, half a year. I planted in half a year.
Are you going to continue that here on this black plastic?
No, this is the neighbors. We're going to do blueberries. Yeah, the squash. One thing I do is I like to have my garden on the edge explode out. Although it's not good if you got neighbors right next to you gardening, but I'll have to chop and drop it. But one thing, it was this huge debris pile that had all this California grass coming out of it. In Wainaku, it was just this constant problem. So what I did, up all around it, I planted very densely with bananas and sugarcane and everything I had. And it just turned into this really strong, spreading food forest. And I feel like that's an important thing. If you here when we got all these like really vigorous plants all around us, if we have our edges being expansive rather than them being expanded upon when we weed whack, then it's very low work. But once again, it all has to be designed well. So some of these are a little bit tall. I should have done like a lower growing crotalaria. That would let the little plants, everything's plant. I got choke.
You could come through and just chop and drop the tops, you know?
Yeah, exactly. But I really want to design for no work. I want to be like semi-nomadic where I do these things and it's like magic where I come back and I harvest.
It's going to take you like an hour as you went through to harvest. If you went through with a serrated sickle to harvest and you just pulled them down as you went into harvest.
It wouldn't take much, it's true. I've been more of an activist than a gardener lately, and my whole garden's, it's like most of my garden, I haven't done anything for 6 months to a year. So yeah, we should keep on cruising. And then whenever I come and cut stuff down, we'll take a look at it. There's some big hollows still in there. I have a big hollow for Mayor Kanoi, and I gotta get one for Margaret as well, though, too. Cool. Yeah, both of them. All of them, everyone. Thank you so much. Anyways, moving right along. So, weed trees. So I grow the native trees, but I also grow the weed trees, and I try to keep them from making seed. This is a gunpowder tree, Trema orientalis or something like that. And what else we got here? So we got some Gliricidia making some flowers. It's kind of weak. Ice cream bean tree, Inga edulis, Hawaiian sugarcane. There's acai berry. It's a palm that makes an edible fruit that's very medicinal. Maya, banana, money tree. Wow, look at that! I got money tree. And then looking close here, once again, this is another thing where this is mowed on the outside, and I don't really like to mow it very often because it encourages the weeds, like the sleepy grass. That stuff comes up after you mow it low. I like to let it grow tall because it's really only like, a 1.5 feet tall, and then I just have a path that I walk down and just let it turn into a meadow. And it doesn't really expand into this area because when the grasses run, look, yeah, you see here it's expanding, but there's nowhere for it to go because I chop and drop occasionally the sugarcane when I harvest. And the bananas, I throw the leaves here, and then there's nowhere for it to root. It's struggling here. And then there's some Wainaku running in. Now that's one of the problems. Underground rhizomatic plants like Wainaku are one of the biggest problems with these perennial systems because they can run underneath the road or wherever and run into your system. And that's why with this thing it actually works just fine, because if it's shaded out, then the Wainaku, all the grasses, none of them like to grow in the shade. They want to run for the sun. So if we use this and turn it into a forest, there will be no grasses. So therefore we don't have to waste our time trying to kill the Wainaku. We're going to succeed the Wainaku with jackfruit. Edible hibiscus. Oh yes. So yeah, the whole idea is low work, low inputs, high nutrition. Perennials offer 2 to 3 times more nutrition than most annual vegetables. This one's Okinawa spinach, Gynora crepioides or something like that. And the whole idea is also to make it ornamental.
I've seen how the berries are actually creeping out into the yard where there's more perennial peanut versus this grass.
Oh yeah. Yeah. In hindsight, what I would do is probably when this is cleared, plant it out with perennial peanut, recognizing it's a permanent ground cover, very difficult to eradicate.
It's coming in really well.
And then maybe mix it with another grass, like the carpet grass, because that one's a little bit less tall than this hilo grass, so it's a nicer pathway. But then do the
The hono hono's coming.
what's it called? It's the hedge. It's a weed barrier of lemongrass, which we'll check out in just a second. Yeah, we'll check that out, because if you got your weed barrier on the outside of your garden, you shouldn't really have weeds running in.
I was going to do it with comfrey too.
Yeah, comfrey, but comfrey harbors root knot nematodes.
Yeah.
And
I was going to do comfrey then lemongrass.
yeah, I like, lemongrass. I have a lemongrass rust, so it may be better to do it that way. Comfrey is a nice one. So we got chaya popping out of this banana clump here. I found that a lot of plants grow really good if they're planted close to bananas. I think it may be a growth hormone thing or nutrient cycling.
The thing creates so many sugars. It's like a huge solar panel. It's creating so many sugars in the soil and it makes so many exudates that the microbes go nuts around a banana tree.
So it's a keystone species, I would imagine. Where it grows, it supports a lot of life, like humans, bacteria.
So many exudates into the ground. You ever looked at the banana roots? How they're like all those huge things? They're just like huge sugar pumps.
Sugar pumps, ladies and gentlemen. You see, this is what we're doing. We are actually not doing anything. We're letting nature do the work. And it's beautiful because there's all these ecological services that we don't get when we try to force it to, pay our bills or whatever. It's just, this is a complex system. It takes refinement. It's very site-specific. And that's actually why Restore Hawaii and a whole bunch of other groups are working on developing this research center and a larger vision for this island in terms of developing these systems, which are very low effort, very low input, biofertilizers, bioremediation, protecting endangered species. There's I can't say it's going to happen, but it seems like there's a good chance for higher yields because well-designed polycultures tend to yield more than monocultures. And if we have a CSA system that is and a distribution system from these food forests where farmers can grow their diverse crops in simple polycultures where it's very reliable.
Imagine just everywhere you went in Hawaii was like this. Like, why just like sell shit when you can just be like, oh, do you want some sugar again? Yeah, like fucking here it is. Just run it through the press. Like, why sell stuff?
Well, I mean, there are specialists, and there's people who like to grow. You know, what's your kuleana, right? And if you like to grow, you need to have access to the land. And if we can provide,
Yeah, but the whole sides of the highways and everything are planted, right? That's the whole idea with, what
I
we're
do
doing
timber.
downtown
Sure.
Hilo, and then as we expand that out, from there, people realize that they can it's our land, we are the government, we are the county, we are the state, we are the federal government, so we can plant our land, right?
We are the world.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's fennel.
Yeah.
There's fennel, and that's an aromatic confuser. So plants that find their food, or pests that find their food, they're not pests, bugs, slugs, whatever, that finds their food by smell, by scent, this will throw them off. So, it's not like a field of, say, soybeans or corn that they're going for. Also, plants, I keep on calling them plants, little bugs that will come and eat your food by sight, like rose beetles, they get thrown off if you have plants that they don't eat, that they don't recognize. So as they're flying along, wobbling, like, whoa, I'm trying to get over there, whoa, I think I see there, so I'm going to go eat this bean. And then they land, and they're like, okay, what else? This actually, okay, I don't see much else that way. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to go to my neighbor's place. Okay. Oh, there's a jackfruit. All right, we should keep on cruising here. Lemongrass weed barrier. So this has not been had any work done in a long time, and it's got the lemongrass rust, as the garden guy recently wrote an article about. Thank you, garden guy, explaining the lemongrass rust.
Yeah, I got that all over my older lemongrasses.
You
know what you can do?
And then one more thing.
Natural farming remedies for that.
There's well, I haven't cut them. If I had chopped and dropped them, then it'd be more younger leaves. I think the older ones get it more, a little bit worse. So we got that more of the Okinawa spinach. So I have my weed barriers. I've got my support species like pigeon peas, bananas, ice cream bean, native sumac, the pioneer, sugarcane, and then I've got my runners. And they're all these teams. It's like, for some people it's like war. You got platoons, and they all have their jobs, and you put them on the ground, they hit the ground running. So right when we stop working, they get to work. And this stuff here, Okinawa spinach, you can plant that out in your intercrop hedgerow, and you can actually have it trained up your plants so that you can actually get it off the ground. And it's very clean, and there's not many slugs that are going to climb that high. Right? Just like with the berries. Those really thorny thimbleberries. There's no slugs on those. I ate those without washing them. No worries about the rat lungworm. So, they're teams, and they support each other. The banana is hanging out here. That's, actually competing a little bit there. But the katuk is supporting the Okinawa spinach. And then the tea is actually supporting this jackfruit seedling. It's kind of leaning away a little bit, but it is supporting it because it's dropping it. It's making shade here because many trees like shade on their trunks. They don't want to be in full sun and have grass all around them. They want to have, this is more of a jungle environment than monocrop here. But it's a jungle environment on the edge. The edge is one of the most productive locations for biodiversity and biomass. Yeah, simple. Here's a pineapple experiment, kind of gone awry. I'm not sure if I'll be getting pineapples out of here or not. It's a little bit shady. I think pigeon pea and maybe perennial peanut or gotu kola as the ground cover. That would probably be the best one. Gotu kola, pineapple, and pigeon pea. Very simple. 3 crops right down a row. So, or maybe like you have your row of pineapples and your ground cover, and I'm doing blueberry and tea, the drinking tea for seed. So it's a very, very slow growing tree. So that's actually a great use if it's not going to be, if you're willing to let it turn into forest, you can plant all types of tree seeds in this situation because you have to keep it well weeded below. You can't let the grasses grow within the pineapples, which is one of the benefits of this system. There is no intense weed pressure. It's just more light pressure. That it's a lower light environment. So this would work well in Puna, in lower Puna where it gets really hot, as long as I have the soil resources and the water. Oh, the butterfly bush, yeah.
So my dad said that wherever you see this plant, you know that there's really good soil underneath it. So you'll notice in Puna and then
Yes.
in the forest, like this is a really good tree. So my dad, he used to like rip these out and then plant ganja plants beneath it. And just like.
You might want to edit that one out. The false one, right? The melastoma. I found that I've had the best gardens in the melastoma. Oh yeah. What I do, I don't even rip it out anymore. I leave the roots in the ground. I just cut it down with machete and chainsaw, and then pile the stuff over it. We can go walk over there, and then I plant all types of stuff in there, and then it leaves the soil very woody. And there's very little weed pressure below it as well. It tends, when it forms a monoculture.
Yeah, underneath.
So I didn't disturb it, but there is, it's not as productive as when you rip it out, like with a machine. Then you get just great results, temporarily. Big aggregates. Okay, yeah, so let's just keep on cruising. We're going to speed it up here, and we got to dig up some bananas and get some plant propagation material for homeboy here, for his pigs. So I'm going to make a surfboard out of this one day, hopefully. Nice ulu. I'm going to keep on limbing it up. All my trees, like even the peaches, everything, I'm going to limb them so I can get logs out of them. I want my trees to be tall so that I can have more understory plants below. So, right, like the higher the branches are, that means you're going to have more light coming in from the side, especially when they're young. And don't replicate this at home, anyone. Don't think this is actually going to work, because I got coconuts, coconut 5 feet away. It really should be like 20 feet away. And this areca palm, which those things just grow like gangbusters. But I'm dropping them because palm fronds are an excellent long carbon or slow release carbon. So that's a great way if you have nitrogen fixing plants in there, which I do. It gets stored in that. I chop and drop it. When I put that in the ground, I increase my soil nutrient pipeline, and then that means just more production, infinite production as we use or work within the laws of nature. Yeah, that's a school that I want to go to. Right?
Digs in itself. Cool, man.
This is a new one. Yeah, watch your step. This is oops. Hold on.
That's a toilet paper.
Ooh, yeah, I wouldn't want to use this one for toilet paper.
Oh no.
What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's some spines on both sides. Oh yeah.
It's a squash.
Ow. That's naranjia.
What is that?
It's a fruit that tastes like kiwi, sort of. It's related to tomatoes.
Cool.
It's a rapid growing, it's like a pioneer, woody, floppy kind of shrub, like these crotallarias, they'll fall over, but it's woodier than that.
So you put a bunch of mulch here and then just plant it into it?
No. So this is my greatest horticultural strategy I figured out. It's the one of doing nothing. And so here I'm working really hard doing nothing by letting this grass grow. Instead of You know, along the road here, I'm weed whacking it, and it keeps it down, and so you can get by. You're not going to get all thorned out or muddy, or you can't walk through here. But what's happening is, look at all this brown stuff. That's carbon, and then there's roots in the ground made of carbon, and then when I clear it, when I just here, I'll show you how I do it. It's really technical.
That looks like something, man. There's a lot of sticks in there already.
Almost there. So this is one of the things that, instead of going to the gym to work out, I'd rather work outside and get my exercise.
Focus on good posture.
And then get food out of it.
Yeah.
So check it though. This is like what happens when this stuff grows. So now, here this stuff ran up, and there's all this wood here, and there's no weeds growing in the wood.
Yeah. Where'd all the wood come from? You piled it there?
Yeah, there's a biochar pit here.
Oh, cool.
And this was just what remained before it got capped off. And so rather than trying to keep it all weed whacked, I was like, I'm just going to let it go and focus on my gardens. And so here you see like this grass here. Watch this.
Yeah, this came out no effort.
And what do you think is why?
Because it's fungal environment.
Fungal environment. And the grass is like...
Likes bacteria. Yeah.
So it's a lot tougher to pull the grasses where it's getting weed whacked. Low carbon situation.
Yeah.
Poor nutrient cycling. This is good because it's getting stored.
Yeah, just stick mulch. That's what Clive's suggesting too. Just stick mulch, stick mulch, stick mulch.
This is the way. Chippers suck. They're really loud. I'm going to say it loud. I hate chippers!
Just stick mulch.
Yeah, I shouldn't say I hate chippers. I mean, they're very useful. But a lot of times the grasses will run through the chips, and it gets burnt up really fast. This stores it a lot better. So the trick for stick mulch is where you put the sticks,
She
right?
wants to chase that stick.
Where are you going to put your sticks? Yep. And where I put my sticks in my intercrop hedgerow is here. And what I found is this creates a nice fungal environment where I'm putting them just on the outside.
That's what I want to do.
Stepped there.
That's what I want to do with my garden too. Is just put tons of sticks, like cut down a bunch, like those vives over there behind you.
Yeah.
Go cut down a forest like that and put it all right on a bed like this, and then just farm a Vive forest for stick mulch.
Yes, it's an excellent one. And then even better, what if we think about it targetedly? Like, what is the most ideal green manure that's like light, easy to chop, that gets to
pigeon pea?
Pigeon pea, yeah, but
Here,
you want something a little bit woodier than pigeon pea. I do.
Okay. Well, depends how much. Well,
Gliricidia is pretty
yeah,
good.
Gliricidia.
Yeah, Gliricidia because it's a slower breakdown, and then also kukui. We want to do kukui because that's got calcium, magnesium, and sodium, and those are the hydrogen ions which are used to raise your pH.
Yeah, that's what they used to mulch the mala in the lotu with, is the kukui, and then I think that's the reason.
Akamai.
Yeah.
It's like they knew. It's a green manure, and it works.
And it grows really well here.
One of the secrets for us to unlock the hidden fertility of the Hamakua soils
Is
and
kukui.
Kilo soils is not, instead of throwing lime down, we need to find the ones that create lime in a way. Right?
Well, cassava grows exceptionally well out here without liming.
And yes, there we go.
And
right
it
there.
brings the
Plants
soil
that do
back to
well
then.
within our pH.
Yeah.
Increasing the carbon content through regenerative systems, and then also increasing our microbial food supply, which is carbon, but also fruits. I think, like monkey pod rains down like honeydew, right? and that's probably feeding. That's like manure from the trees, raining down on the microbes.
Yeah, monkey pot. I'd like to do that. Do you have any?
No, I don't. I got a whole bunch planted here.
Cool.
Don't tell the landowners, but they won't
They're
know
nice
for
trees.
20 years.
Yeah, they're nice trees.
So here's the one thing I'm doing though is I'm mixing. This is the early food forest that you saw there. This is the early stage where I plant everything in a row. I've got my bananas, and they're on like 20-foot spacing. I've got the nerding here, and then what? I've got this eggplant down there. Like I said, a lot of things seem to do good right around bananas. So these are just trials. There's a good chance at least half of this will fail. So I'm going through
looks
this,
good
and I
now,
hope to be
though.
able to share this with others, what works and what doesn't.
Yeah. You got enough mulch. It looks like you have bamboo mulch on there.
Yeah, there's a spot where I made these bamboo fences in the floodplain, and so it gets deposited there, then I pick it up.
Oh, cool.
Also, I'm getting sediments deposited, beautiful aggregates. Like it's like this very, very tiny gravel, like a 16th of an inch.
And you bring that up to the garden?
I need to go get it. There's a
Because
whole bunch.
I got a huge floodplain that I could mine to like get good soil, right?
You can mine it. Not only that, you can make traps, and this is the whole thing where.
Well,
once
I
you get people access
accidentally
to
did that
land-
with a fence across a river and made a huge, like, I raised the soil like 6 to 8 feet, like, on accident, because a bunch of plastic shit got stuck on the fence and then the soil built up, and it was crazy, actually.
Yeah,
Fence
that's-
is gone now because it's under 6 feet of shit. But,
And everything grew. That's the thing
Yeah.
is like after the rain, we need to be like the robins. Like once the rain stops, you go out and you go get your soil before nature starts taking it.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, like being adapted to the weather. There's also in Washington where I used to live after the big floods, we'd go out and go look for the fish that washed up on the river floodplain where the river is going slow.
Oh, yeah, because they get out there and then the water goes down too fast and they get stuck.
Yeah, it was a flood of opportunities. Or after the windstorm, you get the windfall of fruit, or the windfall of the buds off the cottonwood tree to make their cottonwood sap. Instead of picking off individual buds, you get like the whole top of the tree. It's all about the timing of nature and seeing when you see something happen, like what is the opportunity that's right in front of me where I get the most for the least, right? Because we all want to be getting the most for the least. So you'll see that the collos are 2 feet out from the intercrop hedgerow, and then I'm putting the sticks down. It's best to throw your IMOs and do your whole Korean natural farming process from the beginning with your biochar, activated biochar, not just biochar, activated biochar.
From the
That way it'll rob
BMW
your
T
soil
machine.
Nutrients. Get everything all nice, have it all mulched, then you plant, because then you don't get the chemical reaction. Whereas if you dig this up and you lime it and you throw your fertilizers down, you throw your rock minerals down, and then you till it up and then you plant, that is not the same as a natural environment, because that's not the way it works. The way it works naturally is a slow thing. So the Korean natural farming thing, or just letting it sit 3 weeks after you turn the soil, you do that, you have this chemical reaction that happens, then you plant, plants will do a lot better. So you let it rest, and then you lay your wood, and also think about your annuals, your perennials, your biennials, your shrubs, your trees, your long-term trees, your overstory trees, support species. And so I got my perennials, or they're really like an annual, the taros, collos. And then I'm going to wait a month before, these have to be planted for a month before I sow the seeds. I'm going to do mung beans, and then also rice, and then also mung beans and rice. In small, 3-foot plots. And so this way I'm not doing some huge field of it. This is just a little experiment. And there'll be some successes and there'll be some, not mistakes, but learning opportunities. Okay, here are just a couple more things and we should roll it.
That's good, John.
Here's the Pachyrizas, and I don't remember the name yet. It's related to jicama. This one here. It's very sensitive to sun, I found. You have to really harden it off to the sun, where you give it partial shade and then protect it. It kind of didn't like it when I just stuck it out there in full sun. That's a vine. It's very new to Hawaii, so I'm going to grow it out for seed. So I put these poles here, and eventually it'll grow on these poles. It'll actually grow around many of these plants as they're growing. And then it'll make seed. If I let it smother the ground as a monocrop, or as a very simple polyculture with, say, ginger, maybe turmeric, something that could actually handle the shade. Lemongrass on wide spacing. Then it would make more roots. It's very sensitive to the way it grows and what it's going to do. So once again, we've got, this is a green tea, Camellia sinensis. This is a Bajul seedling, nitrogen fixing tree. This Pachyrhizis is also nitrogen fixing.
Oh, cool. It's a bean then.
Yeah, there's some toxicity with the leaves here. Nehe, a native Hawaiian plant that's endangered. This is just a cutting from a plant that I got, so I got more. It's very sensitive to white flies, and one of the challenges with white flies is they're attracted to locations with a brown background. So here I've got this brown mulch, and lo and behold, I got white flies. So a solution is, here's chickweed. This is a ground cover. It's a non-native plant, but it's shallow rooted, and you know, perhaps that may be a decent ground cover to work with this. Here's some eggplant. And I'm pulling the flowers off. Always do yourself a favor. Whenever you get trees, any kind of plants, don't buy the ones that have fruit on them, or you know, even if they have flowers, you gotta pluck the flowers and then plant it, because it will take energy to. It's like having kids at a really young age. It's, you know, it's a little bit tougher to really get established compared to if you can set yourself up nice and have kids and be all set and not have to have as much hustle, right?
Yay.
But, I don't know, I don't got kids, but that's just the way it seems. So yeah, holy basil, more tea. Yeah, this is fun. I like this kind of project. I took the Wainaku out of this. I dug that out because it was right on the edge. But over here, there's so much Wainaku, I just planted into it. And so I'm doing a Wainaku hedgerow installation to see what I can do with Wainaku, where you just cut it and you don't weed it.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, good luck. Well, but here's the thing. It's not luck, because it's all planted in a line. So this is great for mowers. This is great for weed whackers. This is great for people who have hand sickles and you're coming in, and I've got all types of tree seeds that are all planted, like jackfruits, rolinias, there's pigeon peas, there's all types of seeds that are going to come up. So I know they're all right down the row. So I'm careful when I'm coming in to cut the weeds with my hand sickle or pull them, or better yet, if I design it and install it so that I never have to weed, where I have enough mulch, I have my ground cover planted. There's perennial peanut planted in here too. Then if I have to, I can come along and just weed whack up against it or cut up against it, and then it'll shade. This will grow quick. The banana, that's a dwarf. That thing's having trouble. This one will grow quick. Edible hibiscus. This banana will grow quick once it gets established. And then I shade it out, and then I mulch it out as I chop and drop it. And I'm having success below where I shaded it and mulched it out with bananas. And right when it's close to really being set back, this is how you know. It gets really skinny and leggy. It loses like...
The Wainaku grass, you're saying? Because right now it looks pretty thick over there.
Right, so this is not... So
it's still healthy.
This is
you're not, you're not done, yeah.
Yeah, down below I've got a spot where it's
cool.
A year later that...
Yeah, you're winning.
There's just a few more strands coming up. And I go and pull them maybe like every 6 months, maybe. Now if I'm... Yeah.
Cool.
And there's not much. Yeah, I think it's the only way, because Wainaku, you can't poison it reliably, you can't dig it up reliably, except for pigs.
Nah, they don't do a good job if it's deep.
Yeah, if it's deep.
And
exactly.
plus, they encourage it to come back if you don't do it right.
If you don't, get the corn moles out of their poop.
Well, no. If you don't follow up on the pigs by planting stuff, because I took land that wasn't Wainaku and I ran pigs, and I got Wainaku way more afterward because I didn't do it right.
Yeah. Well, here's one thing for Wainaku. This is a potential project. It's a Wainaku. Well, this is a project I've been
Here we are
doing.
walking on it.
It's a Wainaku.
It's always on the roadways.
Crop rotation, so that you're like, okay, this is Wainaku. Okay, so since there's Wainaku, I'm gonna get the Wainaku out of my veggie garden.
And the other thing I think is California grass too. Those two.
That's easy to kill.
Okay.
We can do that with bars, and you can get that thing out. But the Wainaku, after you dig it, if it's quack grass on the mainland, you gotta wait. You gotta really dig it 2 or 3 times. Right? There's always that one rhizome you never got.
Yeah.
And so
that's
while
what I'm
waiting for
doing
that
right
one
now.
rhizome, here we cannot afford ecologically to leave the soil barren to be overrun with weeds in the meantime. So let's grow a quick crop like radishes. And then when we pull the radishes, if there's any more shoots, we take that. After the radishes, let's do some other thing like
just quick succession crop like daikon and radish, and just then
Exactly.
till it all up and then pull it each time.
and then sweet potatoes. Sweet
But
potatoes.
they take a little
sweet
bit too
potatoes
long.
next because they can handle low fertility. When we
Nah.
did this, it worked because then it comes through the sweet potatoes and it's struggling, and then you're pulling it, and then when you dig your sweet potatoes,
You got a lot of it.
you're digging deeper, and it's not like.
Yeah, that's the other thing I gotta do is plant a lot of sweet potatoes.
Alright, let's just do here. Fungal. This was melastoma.
This rack of bananas.
Yeah, not really. It
Fell too early.
Yeah, it fell through. You see, that's the thing. It's a semi-dwarf, and
Yeah, but
it
that's
needs
like
to be
good.
propped.
I mean, that's a good rack size, but
Yeah, it would have been good. It's probably not going to really offer much. But
fried bananas, man.
yeah, the talls are really the
I'll
best.
tell you,
I
sell
feel
it
like
to some
fruit
Filipinos,
trees.
man.
Hey, so here's a sign of a nutrient deficiency. You see, so I'm not really
Yeah,
a total expert in everything I do, but there's some things I specialize in, and now I'm starting to get into this microbial fertilizer, which will help my low input system. I don't add any fertilizers, any lime, any inputs, except for now I'm doing Korean natural farming, but I'm not doing it completely. It's very selective. And so here, if you look at this leaf, you can see, boop, right there, that's a
it's
deficiency.
folding like that.
Yeah, well, not, yeah, it's just those little wrinkles, and I believe it's calcium deficiency.
So, on my bananas, you see the ones that are throwing racks, they're starting to die. See how the leaves up there are all dead and it's throwing a rack?
Yeah, it's standard.
No,
Really?
that's a potassium deficiency.
Oh, I
That
just see it everywhere.
As it fills the fruit up, it just pulls all the potassium out of the plant to fill it into the fruit because it requires high potassium. So if you throw ash out there
Yeah,
and burnt stuff like
that's the.
then your bananas won't die out when they're throwing racks. And that's the same thing I have at my house, and I just haven't done it yet. But that's entirely what it is. The tree should be like pretty darn happy after it throws a rack.
Because they're
shouldn't die like that.
potassium hungry, and our soils are very potassium deficient. Extremely. Up here where I'm at, because we get like 200 inches of rain. So we're pretty much at nil for potassium.
Yeah, because it all runs off in the soils.
It would be interesting to find out the other natural farming ways to get potassium. That's
Word.
like one of our major needs. What's up?
ash.
Just want to give you some seeds. That plant, Angostissima, I was telling you about.
Oh yeah,
The tree's going off at school farm. So I've been harvesting some.
Cool. Hey, this is Jake, everyone.
I know.
Oh, you're on now. Hi, hello.
Angostissima. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh,
These are weird pods.
yeah. Oh,
They look like they're open.
good spot. Is that steak?
Yeah, that's the pod right there.
I just make a TV
Oh,
show,
yeah.
and today we're like filming phase 2 of the gardens and like taking it all out.
Yeah, just knock it out. So what's that? He's the guy who knows.
Boron and calcium.
Boron and calcium.
So my friend Zach at Ginger Hill Farms sprayed his farm a year ago with boron and humic acid, both, and he's also doing natural farming. But now he says everything's banging,
Yeah.
and he coated his entire farm with boron.
Boron. It's a It's a mineral that's pretty, like, essential for most plants.
Is it
But
in
it's
the-
it's just. You know what I mean?
Is it in the sediments in the ocean?
Well,
Is there a place
I've
where
been
you can
putting
mine it like
seawater.
that? It's in the
Yeah.
seawater?
I would
Right.
believe so. Yeah.
Seawater, yeah, and then you gotta mix it with calcium to like bind it at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yes, because
Because
those
calcium and seawater are always the combo that really works well together.
two. It's funny
I like
because
that.
those two both are together transporters. So even if you have abundant boron, if you don't have calcium, you're not going to get the boron, and vice versa. Or actually, not vice versa. I think it's the calcium's more predominant than boron attaches to it.
Yeah, yes, that's how it works.
Yeah.
It's
So-
pretty complicated stuff, folks, but it's
Yeah.
totally worth it to know because if we combine these low input, low effort systems with targeted biofertilizers and accurate diagnosis of deficiencies, then why can't we have very high production?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, I believe compost and vermicompost both have minute elements of
Oh, the boron and the calcium. Right, I've heard the
Well, more so
casings.
like the micro, the boron and the micronutrients. Most compost has obtainable forms of that. So I'm assuming the Korean natural farming method, having a breakdown of any sort of any material, you're going to have nutrient cycling from the soil. So
Yeah.
Makes
So
sense,
how do we unlock it? That's the thing. Yeah, there's many ways.
Nematodes.
not the root knot ones. Though.
Yeah, no, those
You
are
know, the
just,
root knot nematodes, what they're doing is they're sowing the seeds to their destruction as they kill these woody things.
well,
And
they're
then
killing
the-
sick plants.
They're
That's what they're
killing
doing.
6
They're like,
plants,
oh my
sick-
god, we gotta janitize this place because there's all these sick plants. Let's fucking kill it, dude.
then
Call in the
what's-
root knots.
Yeah, the root Nazis!
They'll kill it.
Oh, horrible. But what's cool about it is then they leave all this organic matter in the ground, and then the beneficial nematodes show up, and then next time the root knot nematodes show up, they're like, no, this is our turn,
Yeah.
right? Because that's how you encourage the beneficials that eat the root knot, is you give them organic matter. It's just the cycle of life.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. The one thing I don't do is I don't waste my time killing pests. I wanna, and also pulling weeds in areas
Not
that
a
are not
pest killer.
working. So I let them go crazy like this. I have nothing planted here, and then when I have
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
come
California
through and
grass.
cut it down. Better to
Go back to
design it out.
California, grass.
Anyways, so we should keep on moving. We gotta get you plants. And
Um,
ooh, I feel a little drizzle. A good example of some fertility issues.
Yeah, beans. My beans. That's phosphorus, man. That's why the beans are frozen.
It's also nitrogen. I didn't
Yeah.
I didn't inoculate them. I was just testing the ground to see if it had the right microbes. Some of them do. Some different bean varieties do without it.
What's
Yeah,
that
let's
over
take a
there?
quick- Yeah, let's take a look. A picture of it. A home, anyone? This is experimental. This is the banana or Maya, and coleus. This is one of the coleuses. This one. It's ornamental, but it's also a nutrient trap crop, I believe, just because it grows so quick. And then I come in and then I'll just throw it on the ground and turn it into mulch. So I don't mulch, or I should say, I only mulch with the best. Nothing but the best in our forest garden. So we got the best, most beautiful mulch with beautiful colors and edible berries. This is flax, just something I threw on the ground to, grow quickly. One of the problems I have here is there's nothing in this, so once again, that's very likely potassium deficiency if we're having trouble making seeds. So
Yeah.
that's
No, our
that's an
soils.
indicator.
So I went to Dr. Dienick's lecture, and he says our soils tie up 3 times as much phosphorus as normal.
Which is actually a beautiful thing. You know why? Because the phosphorus is here; it's not leached out, and so that's how this is really a
So the
wonderful
key
thing.
is
We have
just to
lots of
unlock it.
phosphorus. It's just a matter of how do we unlock it
Well-
without having to bring in inputs like
Concentrated
dolomite lime.
compost.
Concentrated compost, IMOs, yes.
Yes.
But also regenerative regenerative agroforestry systems that
Yep.
create large amounts of woody debris. Thus,
Yeah, carbon.
organic
yeah.
matter is
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one.
Well, yeah. You're doing it here. I mean, that's the.
That's just there's other ways too though. Yes, worms, biological processes.
Well, these plants are basically the feeders of the microbes. It's like their big solar panel that then they put out exudates for sugars, and they're just feeding them.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I mean, it's translocating the things.
So this is a biotilling intercrop hedgerow, just like the other one where the bananas really break up the ground. And the kalo sends the roots the other way. They're all these roots are growing across each other, and they have different nutritional needs generally compared to all bananas. If we had lots of bananas, they're all taking the same thing. They're all in the same rhizosphere. They're all doing the same exact thing, competing with each other. Here, we're filling different niches in time and space with different species. So this is totally experimental, and I've been tending to overplant lately because I used to underplant and have the weeds come in. This is edible pandan, so it's an edible challah, low-growing challah.
Yeah, I got some of that in my place too. Pandanus.
Then we got edible hibiscus, the Pacific spinach. And then we've got this dropwort.
Yeah. It's
Korean natural
another.
farming thing. This is an experiment.
It's another parsley, you know.
And it's funny because it wasn't even that healthy, but I just put it there, and because
It
many
likes shade
plants
like that.
do
That's really well.
with
No,
bananas.
that's a really good idea. Ginger John has his dropwort patch under a banana patch too, and it's
Woohoo!
super.
I thought it was going to be a failure, but it actually worked.
No,
It
it's
seemed
super
it needed a little bit of
productive.
shade.
Yeah, it really does. It does right where you have it. It's perfect.
Here's Okinawa spinach. If you can zoom in here, Okinawa spinach. And bananas kind of grow around plants. They'll grow right around a tea plant. So who cares? Let them do their thing. Cardamom. Here, smell this. What's it smell like?
Well, chai tea.
Oh yeah. This is a crazy garden maneuver here. This is
Spruce tree.
no, this is Juniper monosperma. It's a diabetes plant. The seeds are pancreatic tonic. And then I've got some kind of tree here. I'm not sure what this is. Maybe a nona. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm limbing this up. This is going to be timber. I'm going to do this timber style, and so it's going to grow up. I'm going to keep on pruning it. And then this fruit tree is just going to be growing, and it's just going to be locked into it. It's going to spread out, and it's going to fill out underneath it. And this other one is just going to be like a Christmas tree on top of it. It's not going to, they don't cast a lot of shade up above. They usually have a lower apron that sticks out. So I'm messing with the plant's tendencies where I know how it's going to act in one way. If I do nothing, and I can change it, and then I can maybe double crop it and get more, organic matter in situ. Or most likely, probably not. I mean, that's the biggest gamble. But here's the funniest thing. When I was a kid, I wanted to plant a garden in the shade. I wanted to grow corn, carrots, and potatoes together in the shade. And my mom said, no, it's too shady, and so we never did it. And so I started gardening at 4, where what I had to do is I had to help with weeding and picking up sticks. That was a big one because we lived below these huge oak trees. Massive, just massive. And so doing it Dana style,